Ladies and gentlemen, today we have a very special guest.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Kirk Chugg here with my co-host, Cory Moore. JW Davies is on the program today. JW and I have known each other for probably about a dozen years now. I'm sure Cory probably at least that long. JW has helped me, as I started my business. He's my accountant. They do my bookkeeping, and he's kind of been a business advisor to me as well. As things have changed and shifted, he's always been the guy that I can turn to and ask tax questions about money. But one of the things that I loved and that I love most about JW is he's a solid guy. If you look at his Instagram profile, it doesn't say anything. He says entrepreneur and then dad too. He names his 5 children. That's his biggest claim to fame. And I've watched as JW has done amazing things with his family and with his kids to raise them to be ladies and gentlemen. And that's the main reason that we wanted to have JW on the podcast today, is he's got some great ideas, an awesome dad, and is an influencer in both the entrepreneur space, but also in the how to be a good person space. So welcome to the Gentleman Project podcast this morning, JW.
Thank you. I'm excited to have a good conversation with you guys. You guys are, I both consider super good friends. We have known each other for a long time. I think both of you I met going back to probably, trying to think where we first met, but it very possibly could have been the good old days of Corporate Alliance.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. I think it was. And I remember back then, I mean, you have a very successful business, but I always just remember you as being so laid back and kind and fun kind of a person, even though you're in, taxes and accounting. Usually those two things don't go together, JW. So
I'm sure he's probably sick of hearing accountant jokes by now.
Well, thanks for the compliment. I don't know. I put on a good front, I guess. But it's interesting because accountants do come with a certain stereotype, and sometimes it's true. Most of the time it's not. It's one of the things that has helped me be successful is, in my career, is to be able to communicate well and build good friendships.
Yeah, but I mean, you're good at that compared to anyone, right? Not just in the accounting world. I mean, you're good at you're a good people person. You're outgoing. You're kind. All those things. Talk to us about maybe a little bit how you were raised. Where did that come from? Did you build that on your own? Did you get that from your parents? Talk to us a little bit about where that personality came from and that people person focus.
I don't know. It's not super comfortable talking about yourself, but I did have the thought when you were talking, Cory, that my parents are the nicest, kindest, most humble people, I swear, on the planet. They come from very humble circumstances. They've always brought people into their home who needed a place to stay if they were kind of down and out, or if they needed a meal. They've always just been a super good example to me. So if I do have any of those qualities, I owe it to them. And a small, tiny little farmhouse. On the farm, my nearest neighbors were probably 5 miles away. We learned how to work hard on the farm, changing sprinklers and milking cows and all of that stuff. My parents are wonderful people. They're both still alive, and I'm able to see them, talk to them a lot. They have always been people, and they've taught me that success in life comes from the relationships of those that you are around.
JW, will you talk to us about Wyatt, Tate, Jackson, Kesney, and Chandler? Tell us what you're doing with them right now, some of the cool experiences that you're having and things that you're learning right now as a dad.
You bet. Well, Wyatt is my oldest. He's 22 years old. He was married about 1.5 years ago to an awesome lady. I'll use that on this podcast because she really is. Right now, he's studying accounting.
That's cool.
He works at Davies. He works with me. So one of the cool things Wyatt and I get to do is we have a standing lunch appointment every Wednesday. So we go and we chat about whatever comes up. I'm trying to teach him the tricks of the trade of this business. Is kind of the primary focus of that meeting. But we talk about how his school's going and just life in general, but we do try to hit a tax topic.
That's a good tradition. I like that.
Yeah. So that's Wyatt. Tate's my second. He's 22 or 20 years old. He has Down syndrome. We love that kid. He's been like a huge, huge blessing for my wife, Jen, and me, and all of our kids, honestly, like just shaping their personalities and who they are as people. But one of the cool things we're doing with Tate right now is we bought a food truck. It's called Tate and Hannah, after him and his girlfriend, Hannah Homer. She's so cute. She has Down syndrome too. They sell like sodas, mixed sodas, and they sell ice cream and different treats. And so
that's so cool.
It's fun. Jen and I, like a couple of weeks ago, we were invited to go to a graduation party. Tate and Hannah was invited to go to a graduation party. We tagged along and kind of helped them man it. But our kids get to go participate, help sell stuff. We'll go park on Main Street in the summer when it's a little nicer weather. And so that's been super fun for Tate and Hannah.
That's fantastic.
Jackson, yeah. You just want me to keep going through all these?
Yeah, sure. Like, tell us some of the, like, you've got two really good ideas so far with Wyatt and Tate. So tell us what you're doing with Jackson.
Yeah, Jackson, he's 18 years old. So he's a senior, and he loves basketball. He played football this year. So he loves athletics. Right now, like, honestly, this is like the struggle. It's like he's almost done with school. It's the last semester. He has 2 classes. He comes home the other day, because we started a new semester, and he's home at noon. And I'm like, dude, what the heck are you doing? Well, like, what are you doing here? It's like, dude, I'm done with school. I'm like, already? Like, is this every day? He's like, yeah, I'm done with school every day at noon. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, you need to get a job, This is not good for teenagers to be home alone all day in the middle of the day. Like, let's get something going here. So he's preparing for a mission. He's going to go on a mission this summer. So we're working towards that, opening up his application and kind of helping him prepare and think through some of those things. We go to the Jazz games a lot. So we have season tickets there. Pretty much anything basketball, we'll hang out. So he and I have a lot in common with that. And we try to spend quite a bit of time together that way.
So 3 boys followed by
2 girls.
2 girls.
Yep. Chesney and Chandler. Chesney is our 15-year-old. She just got her learner's permit. She also loves basketball and tennis. Her mom loves tennis. So she has both of those girls really working hard at tennis. So I get to go watch them and cheer them on. Those girls, I'll tell you what, when I had 3 boys, I was like, I love this. People would say, don't you miss having a girl? And I didn't know any different. So I was like, yeah, I don't think so. I mean, and then we had our girls and I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is the best thing ever, right?
Nothing like it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like super excited and just loving having these girls. And Chesney is like so entrepreneurial, and her brain just like works in this way that puts parts together and makes things work. And I'm just amazed by Chesney. We're doing a land development project here in Heber. It's like 286 acres, and we're doing this cool development, and it's underway right now. Chesney, she loves to go up and see that property. So we'll drive around together. And one time we were in the Ranger and we totally got stuck. We got high centered up there because of all the construction and dirt moving. I was like, Chesney, we're stuck. And she's like, Dad, we can do this. Like, we can get out. I'm like, Chesney, we're not getting out. So I call Jackson. I'm like, dude, come pick us up, pull us out because we're stuck. She goes and grabs this sagebrush stick and she's cleaning underneath the Ranger. And her sister Chandler's with us, and they're like, Dad, this is going to be the cool. I don't know how their minds work. It's amazing. Think about what we can say when we get ourselves unstuck. So they're just digging underneath it. Those girls single-handedly, I hate to admit it, but they did it. They got us unstuck and we drove away. And Jackson was all angry. She's like, you made me drive up here for nothing. Like I can't even,
The differences between boys and girls.
I know, but their minds are amazing. And Chandler, she loves tennis. She's not quite into basketball, but she loves nails. Like she's into fingernails. So like for Christmas, we got her like this whole little studio set up of all these nails, and she can sit up in her room for like hours and just, give all these cool designs on her nails. So she loves that.
Well, you've got a wide variety of interests and personalities, it sounds like, at your house. Talk to us a little bit about some of the things that you and your wife have done that have been cool family traditions that are unique to your family.
We love to travel. So I don't know that that's unique to us. A lot of people love to travel, but we spend a lot of time together traveling, and we usually take our kids. Very rarely do we just, she and I go. So I think that's one of the places we've been able to spend a lot of time with our kids, because you get them away from friends and you get them away from their school and everything else that they're thinking about. And when you go on vacation, you're just with each other. This last summer, for example, we went to Europe. We were there for 3 weeks, and it's just fun for us to explore and see new places. And so we loved it. We love to travel together as a family. We find that brings us close together. One of our favorite places to go every year is we go up to the Twin Falls County Fair and Rodeo, which is where my mother was raised. She was born and raised in Twin Falls. And so we go with my parents and my siblings and their families, and we go hang out at the Hilton Garden Inn and go to the county fair and rodeo and eat horribly and cheer on the Cowboys. But again, it's just time for us to get away and spend time together.
You grew up on a farm, you said, right? And
Yeah.
that teaches you certain things about life, certainly hard work and getting up early and doing chores and you name it, right? So how have you taken that and taught your kids some of those lessons that you learned growing up on the farm?
Well, it's frustrating, to be honest. It's a struggle because I'm like, I don't have the 250 acres, right, that my dad did. And he's like, go change the sprinklers or, go milk the cows or whatever. So it's hard because I do very much believe that hard work and being able to just be diligent and grind it out mentally and be able to work hard is so important to teach the kids. So we do have quite a large yard. So I'm like, go pull weeds, or mow the lawn, or I don't know. That I'm trying to do those things, but it's more difficult. I think we can still do it though. And there's ways that we can teach our kids. I think it's just giving them a responsibility and following up and asking them to do it, no matter how times they're like, like I hate pulling the weeds or I hate this or that. I acted the same way with my dad, I'm sure, when he asked, but on the farm, you learn, like, you don't have a lot of, when you're growing up, you don't realize it, right? I mean, you know what you know, so you don't realize it. But looking back, my parents, that's where I learned to travel. So even though my parents didn't have a lot of money, we didn't know that as kids because they always gave us the clothes that we needed and lots of food. And looking back, though, compared to what we have now, we didn't have a lot, but we were very, very happy and we didn't know any different. So I think the lesson there is happiness doesn't come from money and material things. It comes from being together. And I'm so grateful that I one of these days, my parents probably won't be completely honest if I ask them this, but it's like, how long did you save to go on those trips? Like, how long did it take you to save money to go to Hawaii? And and just the sacrifice and effort that they made because they valued that and wanted to do that. And so even though I grew up on a farm, not a lot of money, I think by the time I graduated from high school, I'd been to maybe 40 of the 50 states. I've been to Hawaii 2 or 3 times, Guam, Micronesia, Canada, Mexico, through Guadalajara on the train, anyway.
That's pretty cool. Well-traveled at a young age.
Yeah.
That's a testament to your mom and dad's dedication to that tradition. That's really cool. One thing I wanted to ask you about, JW, is you come at it from a unique perspective because you spend all day around small business owners and entrepreneurs you're handling their taxes, their money, their bookkeeping. What are some of the things that you've seen from inside your profession that you've thought, I've got to make sure that my kids learn this lesson about finances and money for them to be successful or have a leg up? I'm just interested in that unique perspective from you of what you've taught your kids about finances and money. Like if you had to narrow it down to like 1 or 2 bullet points, what are those?
So Wyatt, right? So I was telling you about, he works at Davies, Alan. He has this really creative mind, entrepreneurial mind. And he's always coming up with these ideas and he wants to start his own business, and he wants to start this cool app, and he has some amazing ideas, and he wants to start this, like the typical entrepreneur who's like, you guys know him, right? They're bouncing around a million directions. What's been hard for me is I want to tell Wyatt, like, dude, I love your ideas. You should go for that, right? Like, that's what you want to say as a dad, right? Like, dude, shoot for the stars, go for it. At the same time, you're like, I've seen plenty of entrepreneurs over the last 25 years who have all these awesome ideas. And honestly, I hate to say this, but most of them don't work out. You guys know that, right? Like how many good ideas does it take for one to really take off to be able to support a family? So I find myself saying, like my dad told me, Wyatt, get an education, get a stable profession where people are counting on you. You can provide them good advice, or, you can have a good stable income, but at the same time, try to balance that with not squashing his like awesome ideas and dreams. Just, you know what I'm trying to say? Because I have friends that have just chased dream after dream after dream after dream. The reality is it takes, to make a good, successful business of a new idea, a new startup business, it takes a good idea. It takes a lot of resources and money, and it takes timing. And all of those things have to line up. So I'm trying to teach Wyatt, chase your dreams and do that, but also make sure that you are conservative and that you can support a family and that you can put food on the table.
Don't be a crypto day trader like as your first profession choice.
Pretty much. Yeah. It's like, I think that's what it is, Kirk. It's really like, okay, I love that. And I think there's a truth here to be taught. It's like, I love the risk taking, and go take the risk, but take a calculated risk when you're mature and you're experienced and you're at a position where you're ready to do it. But in the spare time, like, go for it, like build those things and see if you can't make something super cool happen. And I think he will, honestly. He's got so many ideas. I think over time he will, and he'll really be happy and satisfied and scratch that itch. But the other thing I've learned from clients is that I would have my kids know is that it's a good idea and it's money and it's timing, but it's also hard work. Put in the time, put in the effort, and just grind it, and be patient with yourself, and things will work.
I think it's a good conversation there as parents are raising their kids. I'm kind of with you, JW, in that, if they want to be entrepreneurial and that's where their spirit is, great, do it. I'm all for it. At the same time, get a dang good education so that you have, something that can keep you going when when you're trying all these new ideas. I always steal from Good to Great when I'm talking to my kids and talk about the hedgehog concept. If you remember that, take what you're passionate about on top of what you could be best at, on top of what would drive your economic engine, and where those things overlap, then you're probably going to be successful if you can get those three things to overlap, whether that be entrepreneurial or that be starting a business and competing with others that do the same thing. So in my mind, I want to breed that entrepreneurial spirit into my kids. And at the same time, I'd be real proud if they became a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant or whatever, right? You just kind of need to, I think it's different each kid too. Like each kid has a different skill set and mindset that allows them to do different things. But it's interesting to see different points of view on that.
I agree. Every kid's different. Especially my boys, though, I do want them to be able to make a good living and support their kids. I've just seen a lot of risk, and sometimes that risk, pays off. And I love it when I see a doctor or a dentist, somebody that is super successful in what they're doing, and they're able to be entrepreneurial at the same time. They can improve their profession or their career by some super cool app or technology or something.
Well, you're doing that now, right? With this development you talked about. I mean, that's not your core business in your past, right? You're being entrepreneurial.
Yeah. Well, we always tell people, new clients that come on, or when we hire employees, my business partner, Brad Allen, and I always say, we're entrepreneurs who happen to do accounting. It's not like mutually exclusive. It's not like you have a college degree and you have a career and you're not an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah, totally.
You can take what you've learned and what you've done and be able to reach out and branch out. And this food truck is super fun for us. This land development that we've got going on, Invest Nest. So it's super fun because I'm in a place in my career where we've had success. And now we've got a stable foundation, and now we can branch out and try new things and go from there.
Tell everyone a little bit about this Invest Nest, because I think this is pretty cool and something that other parents might be interested in and kids might be interested in knowing about.
One of the things that I've tried to teach my kids is to be entrepreneurial, is to think outside the box, and how can we make the world a better place? Brad Allen and I were like, how can we influence those around us to try to awaken that entrepreneurial spirit of the youth? The youth, to me, we could spend all of our time on the youth and our time would be well spent, because the youth are they're the leaders of tomorrow. They're the future of everything. And in a world that's just kind of chaotic and up and down, I think we have a responsibility to teach. So we're like, hey, what if we started like a Shark Tank competition at the high school, where we raise some money and then we give it out to the best student with the best business idea. So we did it. About 5 years ago, we started this group, and Wasatch High School has a super cool program. It's called the CAPS program. It's off campus. It's under UVU Wasatch. It's like this workspace where kids can go and brainstorm and be entrepreneurial. So we were assigned 3 students, and so we started Invest Nest, and we've done it now for 5 years. We give away $10,000 to the winner, the first place winner, $7,500 to the second place, and like $5,000 to third place. And they're judged by judges, and there's investors who actually invest in their businesses or lend businesses. And primarily this has been a Wasatch community thing up here in Heber and Midway. But this year we've decided to open the applicants up to all the state of Utah. So any Utah high school student can come participate. And we're actually getting a lot of donors, clients of mine who love the idea. They want to also awaken the entrepreneurial spirit of the youth, are jumping in and supporting it. So we're inviting anybody listening to this, Cory, Kirk, you got kids in high school, come tell them we start next week. where we're going to start phase 1. There's 3 phases of the competition. We're really helping these kids start their own businesses. Can I just tell you, one thing? Yesterday, I met with a kid who started an excavation company 5 years ago. Our very first Investnest competition, and he did $1 million of revenue in his excavation company last year. So wow. We've actually helped start over 30 to 40 businesses with these kids that are still going and continuing.
Just up there in the Wasatch, Heber and Midway Valley. That's pretty cool. JW, you've always been a well-read guy. Every time I talk to you, you've got something that you're reading or that you're learning actively about. What are you reading right now? And if that's not a good answer, what book would you recommend to others that you've read that's made the most impact in your life?
Well, the most recent book I read was over Christmas. It was a Richard Paul Evans love story about the mistletoe, something like that.
So part B of that question.
But I'll tell you my favorite business book is actually The City of Influence. It's that corporate alliance book that Jared and Sarah wrote. I love how it teaches that business is about relationships and how those relationships are what helps us to grow and helps us to learn, get new ideas from other people, be supported in times that we need it. So quick read, but you guys have probably read it. I love that book.
Yeah, that's a great book. It's the kind of the foundational principles in which I built my business. And probably the reason I know you and Cory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We should make sure that we post that when we put this podcast out there. We should post a link to where they can find that book, actually.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Do you guys have family mantras or things that you talk about often that you've tried to instill in your kids?
I would say our family mantra is we have this kid, Tate, who has this disability. And for us, I think if people were to say, hey, what's different about the Davies maybe than other families, I think they might say they have an appreciation for kids with disabilities and the love that those kids have and that they radiate, really. And so we've been able to take this kid who unfortunately other people can shun or, not treat as equal. And we've been able to put them under our wing and say, Tate, we're hiking this mountain, or, we're taking this trip. And we've been able to continue to do everything that we've ever wanted to do with him. And we've been able to have experiences that we would not have otherwise had if it wasn't for this kid. Now, some of those experiences are chasing him or, trying to find him in a crowd of 10,000 people at Lincoln Memorial Square on the 4th of July at Washington, D.C., and having the Washington, D.C. cops try to help us find him because he's lost. But all of these experiences from Tate have made us better, more well-rounded, more accepting, more loving, and more kind.
Yeah, so he's changed who you are. He's changed your personalities of your whole family because of who he is and how he's affected you. The first time I met you, it has to have been a while ago because I swear I met Tate maybe the second or third time. I don't know if you brought him to an event, something. And he had to be like 7 or 8. I mean, he couldn't have been very old. And now what'd you say? He's 20?
Yeah, he's 20 right now.
Man, that just time flies.
Yeah, it's so cool too. Like if you look at JW's Instagram, they have their own Instagram too. Let's give them a little advertising, JW. Do you happen to know their Instagram handle or something like that? They announce where they're going to be all the time. And it's so awesome to see them like standing there next to their own food truck because the food truck is named after them, right?
Yeah. So the food truck is Tate and Hannah. So it's Tate.and.Hannah, Hanna. You can go follow them, see a picture of those kids, what they sell. And they post when they're going to be certain places, and people love to just come see them and get a hug from Tate and Hannah.
That is so cool.
If you don't want a Coke, maybe you can just go give them a hug. That'll make your day.
Selling Cokes, hugs, and ice cream sounds awesome.
Right.
It's like the perfect thing.
It's super cool. I'm so excited. We always just kind of struggled. Like, what are we going to do with Tate? Like when he gets older, like we need to give him something that he can focus on, that he can work towards, and that he can do. Anyway, this came up and we took advantage of it and went for it. Yeah. Super awesome.
Well, JW, we're nearing the end of the podcast right now. So we're going to ask you the question that we ask everybody at the end of the podcast is, what do you think it means to be a gentleman?
I think we can overthink it, but I think that gentleman means that we're kind, we respect other people, we treat other people the way we would want to be treated, and that we are courteous. We try to help other people be the best people they can be. If we look at others and focus on others instead of focusing on ourselves, it comes pretty natural and it's pretty easy. I think all men are created in the image of God, and we have those natural qualities within us. But sometimes we can get focused internally, my problem, or this is where I'm trying to go. But I think real gentlemen look at other people and focus and say, this is such a cool person. And we build them up and we try to place them in circumstances and in environments where they can succeed and help them reach their full potential. I think that's kind of where I landed in my thoughts on what a gentleman is.
Yeah, I don't think we need to overthink it. Sometimes, that very simple, easy definition, that how I tried to explain it to my 5-year-olds the first night. I honestly don't remember what I said, but it was something like, a nice guy with manners that treats people with respect or something like that. And that's actually not a bad answer, right? Like somebody that knows who they are, that treats other people the way they want to be treated. So lives the golden rule. So I like that answer. Thank you, JW. And thank you for spending time with us today. Talking to you has been a blessing. It's been nice to catch up with you, see what's going on with you and your family, and hear of some of the neat things that you're doing. Hopefully that's provided some value to others as they've listened to the podcast and received some inspiration to be purposeful in their lives with their kids as well.
Well, and I want to say thank you. I'm really blessed to be surrounded by awesome people like you two. I really believe that birds of a feather flock together, but not only that, like we become who we hang out with, and we become better by the people that we associate with. And I can honestly say, Kirk and Cory, like I'm a better person because of you guys and the gentleman that you are. So thanks for inviting me, and thanks for helping me be better.
That's kind of you, JW.
Yeah, very nice of you to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing a little bit of your world and your life with us and your time. It's been insightful, and congratulations on having such a wonderful, tight-knit family that you have.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on the Gentleman Project podcast today. We hope that you've enjoyed the time that you've spent with us. Thank you for investing your time with us. We're grateful for all the listeners. The podcast is doing really well, thanks to the people that have been sharing it. You can find us wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can share it from there. Share it with somebody that you know, that you love, that you might feel during the time that you listened. One of the things that I am trying to do, and that I mention all the time now, is to act on each good thought. And if you had a thought about somebody during the podcast today that you think that you ought to share this with, there's never any harm in doing something like sharing something that's good and wholesome with somebody else. So thank you for spending your time with us. We appreciate all the support that we've received. We hope that you have a great week. I'm Kirk Chugg.
And I'm Cory Moore. Go be and raise, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks.